Sisi bado tuko Nyere.
Hatuchoki. Watuko Nyere. Hata tupige bamba tagwa Isa.
Tuko nini?
Tuko Nyere mpaka tuko Nyere.
Hii tiaga. Wataona moto.
Moto. Chorea. Mimi nilishanyuria na sigwa hisi malaya Ruto.
Guys, sorry for the language. You can't filter them out. They come as they come. Yeah, so I'm actually at the back end where the we are checking it as it is, raw and uncut. So hard. Mimi naweza jirecord, so naona. Niwache. Tumeona naweza change camera. Tumeona naweza jirecord.
Sawa,
naweza jirecord. Umeona? Tunaona iko na back nini hapa pia. Yeah, so guys, hivyo ndio pia kitu yako inaweza unaambiwa wacha ni kurecord, then your device inaenda hivyo, so really have to be careful. Hey guys, mbona hajaleta maji bana? Walete. Ushuru. Yeah, guys, my battery is out. My battery is out. Ndio. Muona? Toka. Muona vile zinarushwa. Guys, muona vile zinarushwa. It's not so good. Let me drink some water. Wacha nitoke nje kidogo guys. Wacha nitoke nje kidogo, I drink some water.
Anguka nayo. Tunaanguka hivi.
Tunaanguka nayo. Guys, I want to drink some water. Let me get my water. Yeah, guys, sorry for that. Let me just get some. is also a dangerous area because mapolisi wanasimama huko mbele huko kwa barabara, and now the protesters come through this way, so they might throw the tear gas this way, yeah. So it's also a dangerous route. But matatus are also trying to slowly return to normalcy, which is not picking up well for them. But they really want, I know it's their desire, they want everything to calm down, to cool down.
as Kenyan youth. Hear our voice. Hear our voice. Mr. President, hear our voice. Hear our voice. Mr. President, hear our voice. No more killing. No more massacre. No more killing. No more massacre. We are tomorrow leaders. We are tomorrow leaders. Why kill us? Why kill us? Why kidnappers? Why? Why torture? Why torture for Kenyan youth? The moment we are bringing our voice to you, our cries to you, then you are deploying the police to come and kill us. Why? Why? This is the cry. This is the cry to my motherland, to my nation. We know our democracy. This is the government for the people, by the people, of the people. We know our democracy. Mr. President, this is a democratic country. No more opposition. No more opposition. Usitufinyilia tena. Usitufinyilia tena, Mr. President. Mr. President, hear our voice. As Kenyans too, hear our voice, Mr. President.
Yaani umevuka hiyo kitu si. Hapana, ni kitu nimeshika huko nyuma. Hapana, sasa wewe nakwambia. President. Unaweza weka kwa hiki tu bombe tu na yeye. Sana kwa wapi? Ndio nyoto. Geuka huko mstari gogotea. Ndio hiyo sasa. Gogotea mstari goambia wana reject.
Johnson, Jamie and Jenny.
Sasa jina zao.
Johnson, Jenny and Jamie. Nairobi Batman hapa.
Hao ni wako hao.
Hii ni risasi tunauawa. Unaona? Hii ni live bullet. Tuendelea kuuawa hivyo kweli bro.
Usibalishe mask. Tuendelee hivyo. Asikiti yake.
Unaweza tuma moja yao bwana ipeleke barua huko State House.
Na ndani anze kuzituma sasa. Masaa bado. Masaa ni machache.
Azizi toka hapo hizi vitu.
Azizi.
Ukweli. Hata mtu azitoe.
Kukwara.
Itakukwara.
Na zimekula.
Ibaieni nyama.
Zinakula nyama.
Mzibaie nyama. Ukitaka kuibaia nyama, unaenda pale kwa M-Pesa, namba ni 0706830991.
Tuna mtoto. Oh God.
Shetani hapa.
Hey bro, ulikuwa unasema nalikuwa nasema vile unaweza baiwa nyama.
Ukitaka kubaia nyama, unaenda pale kwa M-Pesa. Ni 0706830991. Una support Johnson, una support nature. Ni Johnson family, Johnson
Na watu. Nenda na mbele.
Nikukuta hao. Sana niko live. Nilipitia hivi.
You're watching the live proceedings coming to you live from the Nairobi Central Business District, where the security officials are clearing off the road that the protesters had managed to block. And this is along Kimathi Street in Nairobi Central Business District, where we are keeping an eye on the developments not only across the city county of Nairobi but also across the country. We have Emmanuel Tor, who is monitoring the situation in the CBD, Melita Oletenges is on the far-flanked areas of Kitengela and Mlolongo. Marianne Nyambura will be live for us from the county of Nakuru. Francis Mtalaki will give us an account from the port city of Mombasa, while Laura Otieno has since morning been monitoring the county of Kisumu following the countrywide demonstrations that were called for by the Gen Zs and the youth-led demonstrations that had gripped the country partly much of last month in June and the extension into the month of July, denouncing some of the government's policies and measures, including what we'll be talking about here on the broadcast this afternoon, as we as well keep an eye. Largely 18th of June and the 25th, which had prompted the government to walk back on some of the major policies that it had announced, including how parliamentarians have been put under sharp focus in what the protesters had said is the shocking institutional failure of a parliament in undertaking its mandate, rather warming up to the executive and largely State House, where they said was the main problem, lacking the representation part, and now
katikati hapa.
Concession on some of the major policies, including the withdrawal of the finance bill after it was confronted with the demonstrations that were largely driven by the youth. In a nutshell, are we watching an emboldened citizenry that is making use of Article 37 of the Constitution through engagement in the civic space and demanding good governance from those in authority?
Thank you so much, Abri Kadir. And indeed, as you've rightfully said, that's purely what we are looking at. And beyond Article 37 of the Constitution, we're also focusing on Article 35, purely on access to information. And this is because citizens of the Republic of Kenya are now getting much more knowledgeable about governance processes. They are becoming much more aware about government performance and implementation programs. And they are getting a little bit organized in terms of how to hold their governments accountable. And much more fundamentally is to also look at what the role of the citizens is insofar as the various programs of government are concerned, and really about how to make their voices to account. And this is premised on a number of constitutional aspirations, where we also look at sovereign power of the people of the Republic of Kenya in terms of Article 1.1 and really the roles of institutions. And one of
good governance, and largely what appears to be the political class now getting back and more or less recycling back to the mode in which they ought to have been advocating for good governance. I mean, it ought to have been straightforward, is it, given the architecture of governance we have, which was straightforward?
Outright and very straight issues of impunity, just bare lack of adherence to the rule of law. Issues around corruption, where you have programs that have been budgeted for, and people come and say, we don't want it done this way. In fact, we don't want it at all. But if you really have to do it, then how about you listen to us and you take into account our recommendations and also our voices? And government just outrightly goes out and decides to do whatever it wants to do. And if you look at, for instance, issues around once we vote our leaders into office, we normally expect that there is going to be an induction process. And as County Governance Watch and other stakeholders, we have participated in some of these induction processes, both for the national government leadership and really specifically at the county government levels. But if you look at even the interest of the elected leaders, the politicians, to want to learn about how to run government, to want to learn about how to do a budget, to want to learn about what really public participation means, that interest is really diminished at that level. And so you meet some of them and you ask them, but sir, why were you not there? Why did you walk out and this is a four days session, and you only attended the opening session? So, and the gentleman or the lady just outrightly tells you, I just came for the opening to sign in so that I'm able to get my per diem. And so that really gives you the kind of people that we have entrusted our leadership in, and the kind of people that we probably believe and hope that will be able to give us the best. And unfortunately, the citizens are slowly beginning to realize that we also have a responsibility in terms of how we vote, and that we can ultimately exercise this power to even recall them. And in a number of places, in a number of counties right now, about 6 of them, we have received reports of citizens now organizing to recall their members of county assemblies in one of the 290 Are there lessons that we think will be able to inform how we therefore move forward in terms of our leadership and our governance? Are there lessons that even the political class are learning in terms of how they represent their people? Because, Abdikadir, you realize that the protests that we have seen, particularly focusing on the finance bill, are purely political class made. Because we attended, in terms of monitoring some of those public participation processes on the finance. Important stakeholders? Are we really as important partners in this particular process? And that is where the citizens are beginning to realize that really
assurance given by the chairperson of the committee, Molo MP Kuria Kimani, that this is not mere cosmetic exercise, that look, you Kenyans, we are going to consider some of your proposals that you had presented before us, but then you realize their conduct is not in tandem with what they ought to be doing. I mean, is this then a time to rectify the shocking institutional failure by Parliament? It is. It is the right time. In fact, if that time were to be analyzed, the time to have rectified these things was yesterday. And it's therefore really, it borders on us as a people to begin to think through some of the aspects of governance that we are not doing in very well. For example, public participation. And one of those very disturbing elements, Abdikadir, is the fact that we do not have a policy on public participation. We do not even have a national law on public participation. And so despite
people should be working. But Nairobi, for instance, is closed. Kisii is closed. Kitengela, all these places are closed. It's quite disturbing.
Yeah. All right. And the live features you're watching up from the Nairobi Central Business District. This is Kimathi Street, where police are engaging protesters, and this has been the situation since morning of the protesters who are waving the national flag, but are unable to penetrate the wall that the police have established. And you can see the photos of the protesters and the police, and who are lobbing tear gas, and we can listen into it before we get back to the conversation in studio.
Totally wako kwa building.
Yaani yote ni stop.
And these are the live pictures from the Central Business District in Nairobi, where police are engaging the protesters who are demanding raft of changes from the government, as well as the live pictures from the county of Nakuru, where our team, Evans Asiba and Marian Nyambura, are standing by. These are the live shots coming to you from the Central Business District in Nakuru County, where since morning police and protesters have been engaging. And also we are keeping an eye on the county of Kisii, where you have just seen the live images on the broadcast, who have come out to protest against the government this Tuesday, calling for good governance and what they term as accountability in what's appearing to be a countrywide phenomena. Also in the county of Kakamega, protesters this morning had taken to the streets demanding for accountability from the county administration headed by Fernandez Barasa, calling for what they term as accountability on the measure of the finances and how the money that the exchequer funnels to the devolved units, including Kakamega, are accounted for in terms of development projects. And we are back to live at the CBD in Nairobi. This is along Kimathi Street, where protesters and police have been engaging, and also in the company are the reporters and their camera persons who have been with them. Now this is the shot on the part of Kenyatta Avenue, where police have been blocking the protesters from accessing, and this has been the similar event as we witnessed on the 25th of June 2024, when the protesters briefly overran Parliament, and the scampering for safety of parliamentarians who were forced to use the tunnel and to flee to safety, and the evacuation that had also led to concerns from members of Parliament. Now you are watching the live pictures from the intersection that links Kenyatta Avenue and Kimathi Street in Nairobi Central Business District, where our team is also keeping an eye on to give you an assessment of the events since morning here on Citizen Television. A summary of the events that had largely gripped the government confronted with the demonstrations that had denounced the Finance Bill 2024, which they say had contained punitive taxes, and the inability of their lawmakers and their representatives who did not listen to their input when they appeared before the Finance and National Planning Committee during the public participation exercise. And the bill, after it was passed by Parliament, was later withdrawn following the events of 25th, which led to the head of state addressing the nation from State House in Nairobi on Tuesday, and on Wednesday, the following day, 26th, where he said after consultation with the Kenya Kwanza Parliamentary Group meeting, they agreed to withdraw the finance bill. More than 40 people have been reportedly killed, mostly in Nairobi during the Parliament. It's the situation in Parliament where the precincts of the National Assembly and the Senate were breached by the protesters in Nairobi, leading to members of Parliament fleeing for their safety, and largely they used the multi-million tunnel in running for safety. The protesters and the organizers are saying that despite withdrawal of the Finance Bill 2024, they are calling for what they term as an end to a culture of corruption, which is, according to them, deep-rooted and corroding institutions of government, and the aspect of injustice and inequality, which they say is largely a phenomena that continues to underpin the state. Stung by the degree of the protest, the president made major concessions, including the withdrawal of the bill, scrapping of the funding by the state for the office of the First Lady, coming to the X-Space on formerly Twitter to face the youth, and in a 2-hour discussion where he fielded questions and also disbanded his entire cabinet last week on Tuesday, awaiting for reconstitution of the cabinet. And this is after saying that he will go on a soul-searching spree to determine the fate of his cabinet and later to disband the entire cabinet. The head of state came to power with ambitious agenda for the youth, who today are disgruntled as they were during the previous administrations of unemployment, underemployment, sidelining, and the quality of jobs that they have anticipated after graduation from the universities. But that isn't the reality, according to many of them. And the lawmakers have, since the passage of the bill and the breaching of Parliament's precincts, have been forced to lie low in the aftermath of the voting pattern, and mostly from the Kenya Kwanza administration, and the shocking institutional failure by Parliament is what now the focus for the country's youth. The president yesterday said the Ford Foundation, which is American-based, is the cause of instability and chaos, saying that the stability and democracy of Kenya would not be undermined. He pointed at them as the engineers of chaos and anarchy, saying that if they are not interested in the enhancement of democracy in the country, then they either style up or ship out. Will call out all those, he said, who are bent on rolling back our hard-won democracy, when he spoke in Nakuru County yesterday. That is President William Ruto, and will be talking about that. Our battery of journalists are covering and across the country in the counties of Nairobi. Emmanuel To Oletenges is covering the situation in Kitengela. Marianne Nyambura is in Nakuru Central Business District. Francis Mtalaki is in the county of Mombasa, and Laura Otieno has been monitoring the situation in the county of Kisumu since morning. Kevin, coming back to you, yeah. And this, it seems that is largely touching at the nerve of our governance. And given the conduct of Parliament away from the public participation exercise, and which was largely the around the Finance Bill 2024 now withdrawn, in general, Parliament seems to have failed on the very 3 key thematic roles of representation, legislation, and oversight.
Sure, that's right. In fact, if you assess, because part of what we do at County Governance Watch is also to assess performance of the legislative arms of government. And this is both at national and also at county levels. And the 13th Parliament has not done very well, especially the National Assembly. And this is really geared towards looking at the indicator of passage of legislation. And if you look at even the
justice delayed is justice denied. We have had several incidences of students or protesters being abducted, disappeared with, and investigations thereabout are done for a period of 1 to 2 months. It disappears and it comes and it goes. So this we want to come up with decide up with the Mbugo, whatever he's saying. We should go individually on these people, not coming as the government. You can clearly tell even from the parliament invasion that happened, there was a sniper that was identified from a group of protesters, and it was pinned down by the peaceful protesters. And he clearly, from the ambush that he was given, he came out clearly and told us who exactly sent him and where did he get the orders. So we also want to caution the police from to be very cautious when handling the civilian, the protesters who are just demonstrating. They are doing what rightfully belongs to them, according to the Constitution.
Mundalo, there are several Kenyans who have been injured and others have lost their lives. Yeah. What should the government do? Should they all be compensated without even, the person suing the government? And Wakili, perhaps just to clarify, is it possible for the government to come and compensate a victim when you have not sued the government, so that you get the actual damages in terms of figures?
That is the good show, a show of goodwill. If indeed they are honest, we should be seeing them do that, because I don't need to sue you and go through the whole litigious process of court and money and time. And the government knows and acknowledges that it's a human rights violation. The unfortunate part is, and the question should be, has the government acknowledged the violation of human rights and the use of police brutality? And I haven't seen any statement, whether from the head of state or any officer from the government, acknowledging that particular action.
Advice, what is your advice to the government?
I see what you did there, Joel. I think first of all, it is a sorry state that we have actually had people who have lost their lives.
It is quite disturbing, and it goes back to really the kind of people that we vote into office and what drives us to be able to vote. And so our political culture in terms of informing how we exercise that sovereignty, and indeed once the person has been given that mandate, how you also carry yourself in Parliament. I think that really is an important concern that should be able to exert a lot of pressure on the people of Kenya to begin to think through how we vote, and even the indicator of leadership and political culture that we have as a people.
It's supposed to be peaceful, then I don't think there is anything in law that then says that those who will be hurt will be able to go through this and this and this, because it is actually supposed to be peaceful. It is supposed to be a peaceful process. So what then happens is a show of goodwill from government, and we should be able to see that as government can just be able to come out and be able to say, yes, this and this was able to happen, but then there's that show of goodwill, like we were able to see with the policeman who was injured, and I was able to see some show of goodwill. We had some CSS who went to see the person. I think that was goodwill enough to the police. It should also extend to even the other people who are demonstrating. I was able to listen to the president on the X space, and he said that his government will not have any time, does not involve itself in abductions, it does not involve itself in killing of people during protests, and I think he came out rightfully on that. But then if that is the position of government, what Kenyans expect therefore is to see what action follows those words, that actually those ones who are kept culpable of this can actually be held to account. So it's about just ensuring that people who are able to do this are held to account. But the most of what we should be ensuring is not that people who die are compensated. We should actually be ensuring that nobody dies in the first place, because these are young people, and these are people who, every life, there is no life that is small enough. All the people deserve to be within to be in the country, because they have their whole lives ahead of it. Remember, even we as a country, we need human resource. So the more the people who die, the more we reduce.
And the space of the citizens in terms of the petitions that people send to Parliament, the kind of questions that even other agencies like DCI or DPP will raise around some of these people that are being vetted by Parliament, and hence therefore how they take note of those kind of issues. And then lastly, still on Parliament, is also the interference by the executive, where, for example, even as we speak right now, most of the politicians who are supposed to be seen to be in the opposition decry the fact that the executive has actually bought, quote unquote, some of their members. And so debate on some important issues.
Been tabled in Parliament by the National Treasury. However, there is a bit of a contradiction. President William Ruto said during a press briefing at State House that he would slash the budget by 177 billion. However, on the actuals, what was tabled in Parliament, or is before now the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the National Assembly that is led by Ndindi Nyoro, is only 156 billion that the government is seeking to cut. Why not the 177 billion that, he promised? Do you read malice?
Chacha, these are one of the reasons why we keep on, why you will see the undying spirit, the undying relentless spirit of the Gen Zs on the streets. Because
they can read between the lines.
We can read in between the lines. We have a president that whatever he says, for example, I assume this is Nyandarua, and in the next 10 minutes he's flown to Marsabit, he's going contrary, he's just going to speak the opposite. Like the president himself contradicts himself. Sooner or later you will hear that the budget again has been from the 156 that the control of Bandinti Nyoro is pushing for. It has again been slightly cut to maybe around 130 billion. So that it also allows members from the opposition side to begin debating on this here and there. It becomes a pull and push from both sides. So we don't have honest leaders.
I'll still be coming back to you, especially on the implication of us not cutting down the budget as we opt to, of course, being more debts, and hence we keep plunging ourselves into the debt hole that as a country we're facing. But allow me to now drop in Christine Musa from Kajiado, Kitengela. Christine, how's the situation so far? Has the demonstrations ceased? Has the transport actually been paralyzed still?
Yes, as you rightly said, there is that currently the situation remains running battles between the protesters and police officers, and as of now transport is still paralyzed along this Nairobi-Namanga highway because the protesters have barricaded the road using stones and they are lighting bonfires. But so far we have seen quite an increase of the number of police officers who are taking charge, and they are trying to disperse unrelenting protesters who continue to pelt them with stones. Currently, as you can see, this is the Nairobi-Namanga road, which ordinarily is plied by hundreds of vehicles, but it has remained a battlefield now between police officers and protesters who maintain that they are here to exercise their democratic right of having good governance in the country. Earlier on, we had spoken to some of the protesters who maintain that they are not satisfied with President William Ruto initiatives just to engage Kenyans, and they say that they want to be engaged further. And so far, as you can see, police officers are trying to clear the Nairobi-Namanga road, and as they do that, some other protesters in some sections are putting more stones and barricading roads in different sites. And these are the live pictures of the situation here in Kitengela, Kajiado County. And we are still following just to see how the situation goes. So far, police are still using tear gas to disperse the rogue protesters as they try to clear the road, which have totally been barricaded, paralyzing transport along this route. Just to inform our viewers that the Nairobi-Namanga road is a crucial road as it connects to the neighboring Tanzania, to the neighboring country of Tanzania, and we have hundreds of trucks which ply this route every day just to bring farm produce from the neighboring Tanzania. But currently there is no movement at all since transport has been paralyzed, and we are still seeing the protesters are still engaging the police officers, and at some point, despite being lobbed with tear gas, they are still pelting them with stones just to fight back. And this has been the situation since 10 a.m. in the morning up to now. And to inform our viewers is that there are also peaceful demonstrations going on in Kajiado town, where hundreds of protesters have turned up to just express their frustrations with the government amid very tight security in Kajiado town. But the situation seemed to be chaotic here in Kitengela. So far, the protesters are also claiming that there is a protester who has been shot on the head. We have not been able to establish if that is the truth. So far, we have not been able to establish if indeed that is an injury that has resulted from a bullet, as claimed by protesters. And we are just looking at the situation here in Kajiado County, where we'll continue bringing you live pictures of what is happening as protesters continue engaging police officers. Also to note is that observing from just our observation, we were able to see that majority of the protesters are youthful people who just stand up in numbers, in large numbers, and continue engaging police officers. And as of now, as we have seen some distraction. For instance, this is Pizza Inn, Kitengela, where protesters have been able to destroy property as they pelt police officers using stones. We are just seeing
that the people who voted for you made a mistake and that you're the person who is always right. Other than that, therefore, is to ask the citizens to begin to organize around spaces where we can be able to identify these leaders of integrity. And there are quite a number. The only challenge, therefore, that begs Abdikaduri is the fact that how our politics is done. It's a very dirty game sometimes. It's quite expensive and quite involving many times, especially when it comes to issues around security and or the insecurity related to the political games in our country. But that, therefore, means that we begin to ask ourselves, how can we shield? And we have seen citizens, given these past weeks, really shielding the people that they think speak for them. And if you look at some of the conversations that are taking place on X, or even some of the postings on certain social media platforms, they are already even having their own independent-minded vetting for people who are proposed or
stones. From a distance, you can see hundreds of protesters are still regrouping. They are still regrouping. Also there you can see the situation here. We can just see a desperate parent who is coming from school, maybe just to get their kids. Those are school-going children who've been caught up in this chaotic protest. You're just seeing 2 adults and a number of young children, uniformed children. Those are uniformed children who have been evacuated from schools. And to note, from our observation earlier in the morning, we were able to see most schools were not open today, but the few which remained open, we are seeing the kids there desperately making their way home as protesters continue engaging the police officers. The young children seemingly terrified of what is happening. And we are also seeing police officers now are taking charge in business premises. They are now taking charge in business premises rather than just being along the highway just to prevent looting.
Well, that was Christine Musa coming to us live from Kajiado, more specifically.
The president has been under siege from his week 1 of governance as a president of the Republic. And this is because if you listen to his communication on a daily basis, he makes references to his cabinet.
But we believe with what has been proposed, it could be revised downwards to even 130 billion. Those are your projections. But this time round, you know, you, the youth, the Gen Z, have a chance to participate in the ongoing public participation. Have you done that? Or you'll come out later to lament that the budget committee has not factored in your views, whereas, you know, given a window to come out and participate, you don't even attend those committee sittings.
I think, well, as the youth and the Gens of this country, I think we should create a better Kenya for all of us to know. And this involves by involving us as part of the stakeholders in everything that is happening. Because, for example, now I'd ask you, who represented the Gen Z and the youth in that financial bill that currently didn't know, the 150? Is it 156?
Okay, there was the finance bill and now this is the budget. So we have two committees in Parliament, because I cover Parliament. We have the finance bill and the finance committee, actually it's finance and national planning committee, and as well the budget and appropriations committee. One, that is the finance, is led by Kure Kimani, is the member of Parliament, and the budget one is led by Ndidi Nyoro. And you've asked me a question. I actually participated in covering the finance in 2023 and as well in covering of 2024. It was open. It was open. I mean, the sittings were along Mombasa Road in one of the hotels. I just not remember them. But it was open to the public. In fact, we also had one at KICC.
Have you seen how people are being frisked to get into such places?
That's what is there. But what are you carrying there?
No, we are not carrying anything there. But we want even just public participation, what we call public participation.
That's the key thing.
For you to get into that public participation in this country, you must have connection. I'm telling you that is the truth. We have the dialogue that's supposed to happen.
Have you made attempts to attend the budget one that is ongoing?
How will we attempt it? There's the national dialogue which has been scheduled. Do you think calling us for the dialogue thing is a big deal? No, it's not a big deal. What the question, who is going to represent us?
Do you feel the Gen Zs or your counterparts really understand the budget making process?
They understand, but not all. You can't assume. You know, let me tell you.
In law they say
ignorance is not an excuse. But, you know, it itself. Because, for example, the 177 which was supposed to be passed, how do you tell me, like, for example, I come from a family, a peasant family, how do you tell me that the land that my father inherited from his father and I'll also inherit it, I'll be taxed?
That one was actually a different proposal and it was withdrawn. Our focus is specifically on these budget cuts that are now in the supplementary budget one, the 156 billion. There is an opportunity for us.
Whether the people who are in these offices or that have been given these offices trust that they are capable to deliver. And so it is a risky game, which I think the president is already bought.
Solutions that can help us.
Teachers going on strike.
Revolution and activists inside it.
مستور.
Around some of these resources, even for the second.
kule kuna watu. Kama tuwashikia.
Just live updates from Nakuru. A journalist has been injured and also
under siege.
Hey Africa, did you know that you can earn money from YouTube without being a YouTuber? Even in Africa, because we are neglected and thrown to the side. Because we are developing countries, and so we don't actually get good revenue from YouTube, from advertising. However, we found a way to make money from YouTube without being YouTubers, and I can't show everything on this ad because this is an ad. However, I have a free training, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I, who grew up in Canada and came over and now live in Africa, I've discovered how to transition my income to here and earn more than I did over there, and how we broke $1 million online, but how you can actually earn 5,000 USD per month while in Africa, staying in Africa without going abroad, even if you have no degree, no experience, no access to traditional American banking or North American banking, working with the solutions we have here in Africa. If this is something that can help you, that you want to earn money from YouTube without being a YouTuber, making money with the African infrastructure that we have without the infrastructure that is available and easily accessible for Canadians or North Americans, but coming here now as a Moroccan, African, now I have to work with the solutions I have now. So I've been working really, really hard to figure out how I can earn the income that I used to in Canada as an African, and how I can bring the solutions to Africans as well. See, I've made over 6 million USD over the past couple of years in the American market with my Canadian infrastructure and payment gateways, which is very easy. But now as an African, with African solutions only, how can this be done? I pull back the curtain and show you exactly how I plan on dominating Africa and how I'm going to help my African brothers and sisters who have less opportunity but more potential. And because we are hungrier, more ambitious, I'm going to show you guys exactly how we are going to dominate the market in Africa and how you can do it as well and earn your piece of the pie of the YouTube economy, the short form video economy, and the all-in economy without the tools that they have. But we can do more than they can because we're hungrier, we're motivated, and actually if you tap into this opportunity early on, you get to be a pioneer and have early mover advantage and change the course of your life and that of your family and your community. We built over 30 water wells in Africa doing this. So listen, do not be late. We only have 500 spots available. Click on this ad, sign up, make sure to save your seat. Do not miss out, make sure you have enough internet connection. Try to be on Wi-Fi, not on data. And try to come on a computer if you can, not on your phone. If you're going to come on your phone, make sure you turn off all the notifications. Okay? It's going to be a life-changing program, and I cannot wait for us to make change in Africa together.
All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak, and the conversation begins right now. The people versus government, and we're having the also young legislators with us here in studio. Honorable Kaliba Mrs. here, Saboti, Member of Parliament, Honorable Njeri Maina, Woman Rep Kirinyaga, and Honorable Esio Kenyuri, nominated Senator, all part of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. Also, Eric Omondi is here, youth activist, Kasmuel Makoure, youth activist, and Richard Keno, a lawyer. Thank you very much for making time. So, there's something the president said when he was dissolving his cabinet. This is what the president said going forward.
I will immediately engage in extensive consultations across different sectors and political formations and other Kenyans, both in public and private, with the aim of setting up a broad-based government that will assist me in accelerating and expediting the necessary, urgent, and irreversible implementation of the program that we have, including other radical measures and programs.
Jerry, what should a broad-based government look like?
First of all, Trevor, I think going forward, it's very important we see a cabinet that is competent, that is accountable, that has people who have a proven track record. And it is also upon us to ensure that we do not want to pinpoint that the president or the appointing authority ought to have maybe this particular person. Because at the end of the day, competency must be on the table. And I was in a certain forum led by my very good governor, Anne Waiguru. And we had a conversation where issues were raised that, or rather concerns, that I had been giving a breakdown of the expenditure of government at the county level and the allocation for maybe the governor, the area member of parliament, and myself as a county MP. And I was missing the drift. But then I just caught on it that people are very averse to accountability, you know, and these are public resources. And what the Kenyan people are saying moving forward is that accountability must be on the table, whether consultations are being done, because we can do consultations, but then we are not having the parameters that are the irreducible minimums required of someone holding a cabinet secretary position. And I know we have seen even on social media forums, and we've had some brag, you know, that they had a D+ and they made it to the cabinet. And we know that there are some who even have issues with their certificates or how they acquired their degree certificates, and that is a parameter that must be met for you to be a CS. And Parliament also as an institution must also put its foot on the ground, because Parliament is the one that does vetting. So as a member of Parliament, I must be accountable to my people and to Kenyans at large of any action I undertake, because Article 1 of the Constitution says that sovereign power belongs to the people. And I think sometimes politicians, maybe, we get elected to these seats and think that we exercise our own conscience and independence of mind, forgetting that we actually represent people on the ground. So that is what I want to see. Is this a wake-up call by the going forward? And it is a wake-up call to every politician. And you see, like the case scenario I have given, maybe I have a very different style of leadership, because I walked down my people that this project costed 2 million shillings, and I can actually explain to a coin how I have appropriated or used your funds. You know, maybe perhaps we cannot be told how the county referral hospital, how much it cost and what went where, so that we know where public resources are going and how they're being utilized.
Okay. Kasmuel, is the president listening? Do you feel heard as young Gen Zs?
I don't need to feel heard by the president. I need the president and government in general to do what it was appointed to do. We did not appoint them to listen. We would have selected them to be podcasters if we wanted a listening ear. A broad-based government is a word salad by the president to try and obfuscate the truth of what it is that they're doing. There's a sinister nature to the political class where he has said that he will consult widely, and he will consult both in public and in private. And the president has shown an affinity to love to consult the clergy and the political class in public, but consult the youth in private. That is why the youth end up in cells, they end up showing up in swamps, dead. And I say this without fear of contradiction, because I have not seen at any particular point the president make a deliberate effort to listen to the youth. And I say this because in the protests and demonstrations that we have led and orchestrated, the people the president has invited to the table has consistently been the clergy, it has been the political class. And that shows me that they are just trying to find ways in which to divide us. They have consistently infantilized this movement. That is why they insist on tagging it the Gen Z revolution. While this is a Kenyan exercise, that's why they've insisted to call us our children. They've insisted to go the route of appealing to us from a parental angle, refusing to acknowledge the fact that this is a political undertaking that we are doing. The president is not elected to listen to us. He is elected to lead a functional government, which he has proven that he is not interested in running. Because, be it as it may that he has dissolved his cabinet, there are several cases on graft and other gross violations of the Constitution that the people in the dissolved positions are getting away with. There are several demands that we have asked for that are going to get away. There is a list, for example, for former CS Ababu Namwamba that we were asking, what is a delegation that is going to Paris? And that is the same. The person who's coming in next will have to account for it, because we have decided that we will hold this particular government accountable. So we did not, it is not a matter of listening, it is a matter of good governance. And there we do not, I personally do not have such great faith in the current ruling class and by extension the president.
But he had an X space with Kenyans.
Under what circumstances?
And also, he's called for a multi-sectoral forum starting next week from Monday to Saturday.
The X space was a knee-jerk reaction after we lost several lives. No life can be equated, no building is almost as valuable as a human life. We had blood split on Parliament grounds. We had brain cells floating on the tarmac. That's only when that he would come to the X space. And I think the X space was also a very disrespectful move in the sense that if you say that you're going to appear at a place at 2 p.m. as a president who has all the money, all the technology, all the intelligence at your disposal, and try to posture, and I think it was a very deliberate psychological move where the president was posturing as an old, amiable figure that I do not know how to use this technology, and you would see how shaky the camera was, the angling. I do not think that the president was doing this from a point of honesty. He came to the X space, and the X space, he was supposed to join as a listener. He does not summon us, because what we do on the X spaces, they are our barazas. It is not and when we claim we're leaderless, we truly are leaderless. When you come as a president, now we have to play respectability politics. When he says that he will hold multi-sectoral discussions starting next week, he has consistently shown that he is not interested in the voice of the masses. And I say this in confidence that the youth is the majority of the population of the country. He has not shown goodwill, because when we say that we want to demonstrate peacefully, when we say that we want the war on graft to be cracked, he does not honor those. We have proven time without number that we can be peaceful. But the directives that the policemen have seem to be very contrarian to the kind of nature of the youth that we have in the country. Okay. So as much as it might seem that he is making steps, he is making baby steps in the wrong direction. If you zoom it out and look at it objectively, the president, I insist, is making these moves out of self-preservation and not the goodwill of the country.
Okay. Essie, what does a broad-based government look like? What should it look like? Because that's what the president is now grappling with.
First, Trevor, I'm happy we agree that the people of Kenya are sovereign and we are merely their employees. Trevor, first I want to be vindicated I've been making contributions at the Senate, if you listen keenly. And I was one of the senators on government side to call the president to cracking the whip. Being on government side does not mean you do not own responsibility for your actions. And that's what transformative leadership is about. The president in the past few weeks has actually conducted very radical measures, which we as a country now need to give support for him to effect those changes. Because look at this, why are we where we are? We are where we are because our politics is tribal. We campaign by giving tokens to people. So I want to laud the Gen Zs for changing the conversation and for the president to elevate that conversation higher by inviting a multi-sectoral forum. I also want to indicate that partly this is because our focus is on the central government. As a senator, we have devolution where we have counties. Yeah. I was very happy when I saw young people saying we are occupying counties. Occupying counties is a good move also, because then we are moving the pressure from the national arena to the counties where there is grand corruption also. And Trevor, it's not about having one person in a position that you can address the challenges we are grappling with as a country. It's about creating a conducive environment for all citizens to thrive in whatever they are doing. Because if you give me a position as Okenyuri, that's just me. Whatever contributions I might make might not satisfy every other person who's around me. But the moment you give a conducive environment to every other Kenyan who's bestowed their hope in us, we are going to change the whole conversation, Trevor. Yesterday, I was moving in the Senate the Protection of Livelihood Bill, which seeks to protect people in informal trading who are in every day we see being mistreated in big towns, Nairobi being one of them, Trevor. So when we actually say the Gen Zs are agitating for transparency, good governance, I'm a perfect example of good governance. I can account for every single legislative proposal I brought in the House. I have the civic education bill, which I believe an enlightened citizen is able to make the right decision. If you're able to make the right decisions, you do not need to rely on your representation to take responsibility.
Okay.
Now look, I said we mobilize along giving people tokens. Yesterday the president actually pronounced the public fundraising appeals bill being ready. That's a major milestone in trying to curb corruption that we've been largely talking about as young people.
Yeah.
And I want to also congratulate the young people who've come out in the streets for calling out political opportunists. Because when the Gen Zs came out on the first day, the issues they were candidly talking about are issues we see on a daily basis.
But is it true really that that bill against Harambes will help cut down on corruption? Are you saying that it's because people wanted you to be part of the Harambes, that's why you are involved in corruption?
That's not necessarily the point. That's not necessarily the point, Trevor, because I'm actually giving a short brief of why we are where we are.
Yeah.
Because, Trevor, if you didn't want tokens, then you would vote for a leader who's giving you issues.
Okay.
Let me give my example.
So there's also the people involved in this.
The people who are watching me should judge me on whatever I've presented at the floor of the Senate in the short time and in the avenue that I've been given. It shouldn't be on how much I give you, because if I represent you well, if I make laws that support people who are looking up to us, that's the best way we are changing this country, Trevor.
Okay. Fair point. Let me bring in Richard on this. Richard, what does the broad-based government look like for you?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe to begin, I would like to do what we call reasoning from first principles to understand how this broad-based government can look like. And by reasoning from first principles, I would look at it from the perspective of a political philosopher called Niccolo Machiavelli, who talks about two ways in which governments are formed. And he says a government can be formed in two possible ways. Number one is when the nobles, the elite, come together, look at one of them, they take him to represent their interest. That's number one. Number two is when the people have the initiative and they look for one of them to represent their interest as their leader. I'm saying this because I want to put it in context, and I'm excited. We have politicians here. I would like us to understand politics from their perspective, because they're in the shoes. And maybe this perspective, I would like to point them to the 33rd president of the US, Harry Truman, who said that when I was young, I wanted to either play piano in a whorehouse or to be a politician. And to tell you the truth, there is no difference. So I would like to hear from the politician if actually there's a difference or it's the same thing.
There's a difference. I'm a pianist.
Let me hear what Caleb has to say about this. So Caleb, what does that broad-based government look like for you? Because there's a concern from the younger generation that this is just the usual politicians who will just be moved around as musical chairs.
Very true, Trevor. There is a big issue we are grappling with as a nation, youth population bulge, and not just Kenya. This is an issue that is affecting Africa because Africa is young.
Yeah.
And the leaders have tended to move away or shy away from addressing this issue, facing it head on. Youth population bulge will be here and is actually the cause of the Gen Z revolution. They always say youths are the trustee of posterity. Those are not my words. Those are the words of Benjamin Disraeli. What do we mean by youth being the trustee of posterity? The moment we capture and nurture this population and listen to it, that is the time we'll have solved half of our problem, be it politically, economically. And most countries who have faced this problem, even US during the J.F. Kennedy's time, there is what we call the Peace Corps, where it took young people across the globe. He formed a program where young people were sent to all countries, whether as nurses, needing to interact, to learn. When they come back to their country, their They have done that experience you are talking about, the lack experience. They have everything. You walk to German. The other day I traveled to Frankfurt, and I happened to go to a factory that manufactures John Deere, the brand of the tractors. And I found a young person coming out of that factory. When I interviewed him, he said one is in college, number two, he was very young. In fact, he's now those Gen Zs of German now. From the factory, he went directly to BMW. That's where now the shock of my life. If we have people in Grogon here, in the factory, Upper Grogon, anatoka hapo, na hiyo uchafu yake anatoa overall, anaingia kwa BMW. What does that shows you? The youth are empowered from very early. And that BMW, he never bought it. The government gives him loan. So that you work in the factory, the stipend you are given, you are also paid slowly until you finish. What is bothering the young people is that they are ambitious, they have the energy, they have the charisma, they are techno-savvy, they are innovative, but there is no environment for growth. The moment now you capture that, it's not about having a clean cabinet, a competent cabinet, is that are you addressing the issues of the young people are raising? And the cabinet you are going to bring, is it going to raise that issue? In fact, I don't know, people tend to say, because you have a PhD, you are competent. That is far away from what we are supposed to have. Can we see a vetting process of a cabinet minister for youth who is going to tell us how are you going to solve the youth problem? Don't just go there because you come from Azimio that you are going to make a coalition government. I think the
Do you think there's going to be a coalition government?
Broad-based means it's a coalition government. Which country do you live in?
You're the politicians.
You want a politician to say what? This is a coalition government you're talking about.
But will that answer what the Gen Zs are saying? Because
that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. We are an ethnically or heterogeneous society. We need to incorporate all ethnic in the government. That is aside. Fine, we can do that. But at the same time, as we do the coalition government, are we also looking at whether these people are going to address the issues? If they don't address the issue, the Gen Z, I belong to the millennial. But trust me, the Gen Z started this revolution, but they have incorporated the millennial. The parents are there. It is now everybody. So people are wondering, if you bring a cabinet that is not going, it doesn't matter whether it's a Mama Mboga. This issue are now over. These are political promises. You can wait for 2027 and judge the president upon what he made. But we are saying, how do we solve the issues of the country? It's the youth population bulge.
But that's what the problem is. You're saying that they're just political promises, but the Gen Zs and the youth are saying they're not.
That's what I'm saying. Those are his, those are Ruto's. I don't belong to Ruto's party. In fact, I said I'm the only member of parliament who has never met Ruto, neither shared a platform with him. Because his principles are mine, are like day and night. We'll never meet anywhere. Until he shares my principle. And I know if he had my principle, we'll not be here as a country. Because I've been consistently, if you look at my political journey, I've been consistently, sometimes alone, trying to point out areas that I think this government is going wrong. Every country has restructured itself economically. The youth population bulge can only be solved. It is actually directly proportional to the economic status and your development path. Just the way the Singapore, the Malaysian were at some point with Kenya, and then they took off. So can you digest why did the Singapore take off very fast? We were the
human rights, especially the police and the executive at large. It's important we respect the rule of law, we respect the constitution, and we develop and appreciate the spirit of constitutionalism.
So I was very impressed when Gen Z said, even for your advisors, you have so many people who are just crisscrossing on the corridors doing nothing. We want that trail to get back to how really government is being managed because of issues of public wage bill and precisely the efficiency and effectiveness of government. So
the county assembly needs to do its job to oversight the governor, and this is the only way, and we need to ensure that we stop we need to get away from this aspect of NGCDF, and I want to repeat it again because this has made us focus. When you ask
that have
someone
been
who is
raised
the
by citizens.
Thank you, Kevin. You're watching the live pictures from Nairobi Central Business District, where events are at the moment unfolding. Let's listen.
Unapiga live sasa hivi. Na tumegia. Ikoonea huyu jamaa anapigiwa simu.
Assembly is independent from the executive. The appointing authority appoints under Article 132 of the Constitution, and then Parliament has to vet the CSS. So if they give us, if we give the Kenyan people CSS that are not competent, that do not have integrity, that do not have a proven track record, we must be answerable to our people. And I also want to ask the young people of this nation. You know, we have suffered from voter apathy. If you look at the IEBC records, young people in the past have not turned out to vote. And I always tell
Hey, mawe imeanza kuingia. Awacha tu press waingie peke yao. Record peke yao. Wamepata evidence ya kwa wengine wameua. Haya, funga hapo. Mchunge mawe inatoka huku mzee. Mawe. Brother, mimi sina ngo. Nilielewa what you are saying. Si ndio? Mkubwa.
Nataka muniue. Ulole ya. Unakalisha mali yake. Nataka muniue. Nataka muniue. Give me quick.
Wapi lazima leo sitaka siwe na flavor. Weka jamaa jamaa mkani. Yeye yuko hapo nyuma.
And you're watching the live pictures coming to you from Karatina in Nyeri County, where police and protesters were engaged in running battles since morning, and that is the situation in the county of Karatina, in the county of Nyeri, where our reporter Kamawangi and his videographer Evantas Maina are. It's also the same situation in the county of Nairobi, where the protests were largely concentrated in the central business district and not the outlying areas, where police had managed to keep off the protesters from accessing Kenyatta Avenue since morning along Kimathi Street. And also Marian Nyambura had given us the account from the county of Nyakuru, so did Crispin from the county of Kisii, and as well Francis Mtalaki in Mombasa County, and Laura Otieno from the county of Kisii. And these are the demonstrations that have denounced the Finance Bill 2024, now withdrawn following the events of the 25th of June, when the demonstrators had briefly overrun Parliament and members of the National Assembly who were forced to flee as a result of the situation. The president thereafter, a day later, announced the withdrawal of the bill that the protesters said had contained punitive taxation measures. Among other major policy pronouncements that followed the withdrawal of the bill included the scrapping of the state funding for the office of the First Lady, as well as the president coming on the X space to engage youthful Kenyans online and filling questions and responding to some of the concerns that were raised, also banning the harambes that public officials normally take part in, saying that the Attorney General now dismissed, or the Office of the Attorney General will come up with the underpinning legislation, and also disbanding his cabinet. MPs who were forced to lie low in the aftermath of Parliament's overrunning by the protesters yesterday. Some appeared with the president in Nakuru County, where he as well accused foreign elements of backing the protests here in the country, but the protesters are not willing to back down, calling for an end to corruption, injustice and inequality. What we had witnessed today are some of the organized protests across major counties in the country. With me in the studio is Kevin Osido, who has been with us since the last 2 hours as we take account of what has been happening across the counties where I have listed. Kevin, yesterday the president also cited foreigners as those who are funding the protests, saying that they either appreciate Kenya's democracy, style up, or ship out. He meant the Ford Foundation. And it's not surprising, is it, that blame must fall somewhere for the government?
Precisely. It is quite a surprising narrative from His Excellency the President, and it really shows the gaps in terms of agencies and institutions that are supposed to assist the President in his leadership and governance of the country. And some of these include the DCI, or the intelligence, either NIS, National Intelligence Service, working with the investigative arm, but really largely the NIS. And it reminds me of a time when I think one of those big two indicated that there were big issues with some of those state agencies that they work with, so that the kind of information that the President receives should be quite factual, with zero to almost no doubt. That when you mention an organization like the Ford Foundation, of course, I'm sure that it will not stop there. And I've seen that the foundation has also made some rebuttal or a response to the President's comments. But I liked the rebuttal because he's reminding the President that even as you talk about us as having created some emergencies, some issues within your government, we have supported and worked with your government in a number of issues. And in some of these, you have been personally present. And in some of the photos that were attached there, of course, the president of the Ford Foundation, Mheshimiwa Darren Walker, indicating that he attended the state function that was put in respect to our president when he attended, when he was there for the state visit of the United States of America. They also indicated that they supported the Africa Climate Summit, which was hosted by our president, which was one of those global checkpoints, or if not milestones, in the climate governance conversations, and many, many other things. How Ford Foundation works, and I think the long and short of it is that you cannot blame the teacher for having empowered the student, even if it is true that some of the organizations that are purportedly assumed to have participated in these protests. Of course, the Gen Zs have said we are leaderless, we are fearless, we do not have anyone supporting us. And I remember even in one of the clips, they were pushing away some of the very obviously expected or suspected leaders of the civil society, and they were saying, you are not our leader, go away, we don't know you on this one, wewe sio kiongozi wetu. And so to get back to an organization like Ford Foundation, whose processes of grant making are very clear, they have global contributors, and for you to get a grant from the Ford Foundation, there's a process that you also go through. As a grantee, you apply, they undertake audits, they undertake those capacity assessment of the organizations. I say this because I know, having been a grantee of the Ford Foundation, and some of the processes that we undertook with some of the countries that we worked in, particularly for the health, strengthening health engagement with citizens of Nairobi County, have really paid back. And today, if you walk to some of those facilities that we partnered with,
tunaanza kufuatana. Watu subiria hapa.
without necessarily focusing on the issues. And the issues have been raised. The president has done very well to concede to some of them. But as a president, and acting presidential, being who the president is expected to be, you cannot keep people guessing and hoping. And there is no sin in opening it up and saying, send me a list of people that you think would be able to fill up these positions. Because ultimately, the vetting is going to be done at the National Assembly, and I'm looking forward to how they are going to get back from their recess when they do in next month. I think it's on 23rd, especially given the lack of authority from Parliament, from the National Assembly. The people went there and took over the sovereignty. They ran away with the mess and all that. How the Speaker, Mheshimiwa Moses Wetangula, is going to reconvene, I think is going to be quite a dramatic aspect. And coming back again with a list or the expectation to vet new cabinet secretaries is going to be another injury to the National Assembly, which the President can be able to cure by purely being a very amiable person to the people. And this is not supposed to be in churches, because the church is a very organized place. You go there as a guest, then you are given your time to speak, which in my view is even awkward. Even as a president, he should stop going to these churches and making the kind of remarks that he is making. The president is able to have his own arrangements and platforms to speak to the people. If he wants to meet with the religious leaders, he is able to do it. If he wants to meet with the born-again Christians and Muslims and Hindus and all the religions, he is able to do so. He should stop taking advantage of closed spaces and have his own spaces where he is inviting Kenyans to be able to share. There is no problem with my friend Hussein Mohammed engaging the president on an X space and just asking him for names of possible candidates for the cabinet secretary, because the Gen Zs have said that we are going to be as detailed on the names of the people that you are going to send to us. And if they have any iota of mud or dirt, we are going to send them back to you. That, Abdi, will dent the execution of mandate of the president, because he will be submitting names which are thrown out, and parliamentarians are also going to be very focused in terms of vetting these people for the fear of being kusalimiwa tena. You send the wrong list and they come to you. They even know where they live. They know where some of them go for lunch or where some of them spend their time on weekends. They will come and say hello to you there. So that really is a proper mechanism of keeping Parliament or National Assembly in check, to also exercise the responsibility to vet the cabinet secretaries.
Okay.
But the president needs to therefore sit back and ask himself, how can I re-engage other than on top of my vehicles and all that?
Are we then likely to see a different scale altogether of public participation when the president names and sends those names to Parliament for vetting? Is it going to be as engaging as we had seen the public focus on issues of good governance?
It is. I am sure that even at the gallery of the National Assembly, people will ask to go and sit there. But that is really on the D-Day of the vetting, because there is something that is publicized, they are put on the newspaper, and people pick it up very fast and load it on their even WhatsApp status. So the information about the vetting is going to be very open. But ahead of that, the moment the president names his proposed cabinet, people are going to begin to dig information and to begin to raise concerns if there are concerns to be raised. And the president therefore needs to be clever around that particular time. And if there are issues where, if there are candidates that he probably thinks that are going to be very dirty, quote unquote, in the eye of the Kenyan citizens, don't overemphasize that they have to be in the cabinet, because that is going to make you look like someone who does not listen. It's going to make going to be very
Licha ya kumaliza mwaka mmoja, mimi ni baadhi ya wale watu ambao
wanakuzubaisha alafu wanauza mali.
lakini yale ambayo yanafanyika na ni mambo pia ambayo serikali
Wanaiba kila kitu. Amepewa hizi kuna madeni. Leo kusaidia bwana anaibia. Aenda nyumbani. Aenda nyumbani. Aenda sokoni. Haidi pesa gani? Ruto aenda nyumbani. Ruto alipo asala bwana. Ruto alipo asala. Jadi asala bwana. Wa mimi nchi yetu sasa. Hatutalipa asla fund. Hatutalipa asla fund.
wanatekeleza tu wajibu wao. Wacha tupate kuona ilivyokuwa awali. Ni picha za awali za kusikitisha. Mwanahabari mwenza alikuwa tu katika jukumu lake la kupeperusha kile anachohitajika kufanya maandamano yanayoendelea ya vijana chipukizi Gen Z kabla ya kujeruhiwa.
Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities.